back once again. We're working on the 2001 Ford F-250 with the big 7.3 in it. And today we're going to do battery cables. I got a whole new set of battery cables for it. The cables I have, probably okay. They're smaller in gauge size than what I bought. And my battery terminal ends are just not too great. Let's take a look at them. So what we got here is some battery terminal ends that are just, in my opinion, poorly designed. And this truck is, you know, she's getting onwards at 21 years old now. There's bound to be, I don't know, these are probably fine. These cables, I probably could have just cut them off and put different ends on them. But I wasn't really that happy with the ends I could find. You know, these clamp-on ones, those are no good. I've got a really nice hydraulic crimper. I could have put maybe terminals on and used military style, which I'm going to use today. But these, I can't get them Guten tight, you know, I can't get to the German torque specs. So I mean, this is so cruddy, and I ground these out because you couldn't turn the nuts. This doesn't stay put. You got to put a wrench on both ends, which is fine, but you know, they're just a pain in the butt. Like, look at this one. Look at how much I've had to munch this one out. And you know, it's kind of important on these big diesel trucks to you know, have lots of battery power, that dual batteries, because, you know, high compression diesels got a high powered starter on it. And these are just, I mean, they're just crap. This one here is like one that splits into another one and splits into another one. And so, you know, I don't know, I can't really vouch for how good this all is. And it's starting fine, it's running fine, it's probably overkill, but I could do it, so I did. And I bought a full set from batterycables.com, a made up set of these. I spec'd and priced all the parts out to make better cables, and the thing of it is it was more money than just buying the $400 kit that I bought. Yeah, $400 for battery cables. Yeah, I know. People are going to say, oh God, you're crazy, you spend money like a fool. But honestly, I'm debt free, man, so I can spend money on anything I want. So here's the deal with this. Today what we're going to do is we're going to take the old cables off. I think we're going to plan to start with the hardest ones first, which is going to be this positive cable here. We got to get rid of that. Which means we got to chase down, it splits off and goes to the starter solenoid, and splits off and goes to the starter. And you know, so I'm gonna need to investigate, and so I'm gonna kind of need to dig my way down to that. You know, I don't know how far, you know, just to get in and get good access to everything. You know, I can get to the grounds underneath that are hooked on the engine block, kind of in a, you know, towards the front of the engine block. I can get in there from underneath, and then the starter, of course, I can get to from underneath. But the rest of this, I kind of gotta like take this bracket, this radiator mount, top of the radiator mount off, and I got to get stuff disconnected. I might have to take this turbo intercooler tube off of here. Not sure totally yet. I'm just going to sort of slowly dig my way down in and see how far I need to go. This is the kit I bought. This cost me $399, but it is heavy. The cables are bigger diameter, heavier gauge than what's on there. And they're all tagged. Like, this is the left driver's side battery end. And this is the this is a ground cable. This, I believe, is the, yeah, this is the positive to positive. So this is one that crosses over the front and goes to from positive to positive. This is the other ground cable. That would be for the right side, and that's the main battery cable for cables. There's two of them there. The main battery cables that go from the hot to the starter and to the starter solenoid. So, and then there's another red one there, and this one's to the start relay. I guess that's the starter solenoid one. This other one I think is the hot that goes to the main truck electrical system. So I've never had this apart before, and we'll go ahead and dig our way into it and see what it's going to take. I think the first plan of action is of course going to be to disconnect the batteries. So we'll get that done first. Do the grounds get the grounds off first. That way you don't have to worry about contacting the frame with one of your wrenches. See, that wasn't very tight. That's my beef about these. I can't get them tight. I mean, that's barely finger tight, and that's not good enough for a battery cable. Sorry. Everything that hooks to the positive battery terminal here, it's just mostly accessory stuff that I put on. Like this is a battery maintainer. This is a power to my 2-DIN navigation equipped Pioneer stereo, car stereo. Direct to battery. I don't like it shutting off. When I shut the key off, I want it to stay on. I don't want to have the key on when it's on. Okay. Alright, so all our batteries are loose now. Let's get those up and out of the way. I put these little Go straps on them because they're heavy as hell. They're interstates. They're brand new. I just put them in. That was an 8mm. I have a new blanket for this one to protect it from excess engine heat. The old blanket kind of rotted to bits, so. Okay, you got to pull those plastic rivets. There's my tool tray. Maybe I'll just leave it. I'll just lift it up. Take out this fastener right here. What else are we hooked to? Something. Oh, there's another one. Get the jack handle and lug wrench off. Undo the degauss bottle. There's the radiator mount doodad. I've gotten one more over on this side. I think it's ready to come off. Now, I believe we got this cable pretty much good to go. on this end. Okay, there's the crossover. That's a separate cable on the new setup. You can see this here. This here is the cable, and it disappears. Whoops, hit you on the head. It disappears down into here under this battery tray. So, that wind is something else. So I'm gonna pull this battery tray out and get that out of here. Need something with more horsepower, I think. Okay. The hook. Helps to go the right way, don't it? And this battery tray has never been out, so this is a virgin push connector. At least not in my ownership of the truck, which is the last 9 years. It may have been out prior to that for all I know. Ugh, that didn't really help us much at all. But both of these cables are getting replaced. They got a big old fitting on it. But yeah, I got new wires for both of these, so they're like 2 into 1. I don't know. I'm always a little suspect of those things, but I need to get this this thing off. So that'll be next. There's like a rubberized, I don't know if you can see past this AC hose, but rubberized cap. Pry that off. And we can liberate this here. I'm going to make a note on my solenoid here that the small wire goes here. Small Okay, and the large goes to the other one. So there it is right there. You can see that the small wire goes here and the heavier terminal is over here. So that's going to make a difference here in a minute. I'm putting these nuts back on so I don't lose them. Okay. Okay, there's the red cable. You can see it right here. It's in the loom. Right there, and that's attached to a bracket that goes up to the block. So I got the next step is to get that bracket undone. So we'll do that next. Okay, so that's this nut right here. I had to use 2 wrenches and I could get the camera in there at the same time. So that takes this bracket here loose, which is fixed to a rubber tube of some sort. I'm not sure what we're going to do when we put this back on and how we're going to redo that part of it, but we'll figure something out. Okay, so that gets the cable loose there, and now we got this ground wire's got to go too, so we're going to wind up coming in here and taking this nut off. I almost think this whole stud's turning, so I don't know. I don't think that's going to leak oil if that comes out of there, but we still got to get this ground off. And so while we're here, why not, you know? So I'll get working on that next. Okay, so there's the other end of that ground cable that comes down from the passenger side battery. It's all disconnected now, and that stud did come clear out, but I think that nut that nut on there, I think is staked on there, so it's not supposed to come off, it's a larger thread on the stud and it's a smaller thread, as you can see on the other part of it, the part that had the positive cable on it. So it's a one-piece part. It's, you know, been manufactured to come out like that. So I just stuck it back in the hole. The cables are both undone. So now we got to move back further to the starter and investigate that. Okay. Let's see if I can duplicate what I just saw. Okay, if you look in the mirror at the top of the starter, I'm sorry the lighting isn't very good, I only got 2 hands. You can see that there's the big battery cable comes down there and hooks on right there, and you can see that there's a little Phillips head screw with the red wire on it. Those both have to come off. So I'm going to work on that next, and I'll get back to you. There's the end of it. Should come right up out of there. You know what this is a case of, don't you? Can't leave well enough alone. That's what this is a case of. It's also a case of this bracket being caught on the turbo tube, which we're hoping not to have to get this cable up, sort of, to find this where this other ground wire goes to. Looks like it's right there on the frame. Okay. Fudge this through this restricted area here. Voila, finally. Criminy. Cripes almighty. Oop. I got a couple wet zip ties here that I put on at one point. Have to come off. There it is. She's a beast. She's a beastie. Okay, there, on the new cable set, there's no provision for this bracket. And I want to salvage this because there's a clip that has 2 transmission lines that go on this. I could just cut this off and hook them tranny lines to it. But I'd kind of like to have a way to support this midway. I thought that was a good design. So I'm going to try to do that, get that off and use it. Okay. This is Eastwood and rust encapsulating primer. This part wasn't very rusty, but it was starting to get rusty, so. Not a big fan of that. I don't think it works very good, usually. But I guess it doesn't hurt anything, so maybe it'll help. I don't know. Trying to get this ground wire off. This ground wire's got to come off. Just don't want to break it off. I think it jumped. I think it jumped. That's what I think. Nope. It came loose. That was it. It broke loose. It's right down there. your way. Okay. Right down there. Okay, so there's that ground wire. That's gonna be a new wire as well. .22 caliber bore brush. That's and I polished this up. This is this ground right here. So that's nice and clean. Okay, that leaves this one right here. It's the only one left. So we got to get this one off next. I got some stuff zip tied to it. So I cut that zip tie, and then we're going to have to go underneath again, because this one goes on the other side of the motor on the front, kind of sort of in the same place. So we got to go fish this one out next. There it is right there, right next to the bolt on the oil pan. That's the other end of that left side or driver's side ground. It's right on the front of the motor, you know, bottom of the water pump housing area, right by the oil pan. It looks like that's going to be a socket, I'm guessing like a maybe a 15 or a 16. So I have to go get sockets and see what we got, what size that is. It's an M18, metric 18. I think it might be good to have a little longer extension on it too. That's oily because there's no oil leak. It's because I slopped some ATF or power steering ATF down here. So that's what looks like an oil leak is probably me spilling stuff. I mean, this thing never drips anything on the driveway or anything, so I know it's not leaking, like drip leaking anywhere. So there's a little bit, and plus I treat everything under here with linseed oil and bar and chain oil, a mixture. I brush everything so to keep the rust at bay. So I don't want any rust under here. So if you see something that looks real oily, it's one of those two things. Either I spilled something or it's just what I'm painting on with my paintbrush. Okay, there's that. All right. Okay, there we are. We're about 2.5 hours in so far. And we got all the old cabling off. And we're ready to start reassembling with all the new stuff here. Go up around. Don't go up around the dipstick. Don't do that. Okay, so we're all hooked up to the battery, or I should say to the starter down there, with both this lead that went to the starting relay and this big lead that goes from the positive to the starter. Those are hooked up, and now it's just a matter of running 2 more cables. The ground that goes down here to the frame rail needs to run from the driver's side, and then the hot cable comes over across the top here and goes to the positive side over here. So we're all set to run our last 2 cables and button this thing up. This is the passenger side battery is installed. And I'm gonna put the new battery cable terminals on. And they are polarity. Their polarity is different. This is the positive. These are what they call military style battery terminals, and the negative pole is a little smaller, so that's going to be, this one says negative right on it. So we'll get that tightened down. And first I want to figure out where the cables are going to go, and then the positive will go on the, the other side. Should be good for now. Oh. Flip my wrench around. Okay. We're not going to hook the ground up until last. Grounds get hooked up last. Next, what I'm going to do, got all the cables installed now, but this one here, I'm finalizing these. Finalizing these cables here so that they lay where the factory ones were routed. Kind of lays in this area right here. So, yeah, about like so. These attachments were taped by the factory. I'm just zip tying them. I like zip ties. You don't have to screw around with tape. You can cut them off, get them off in a hurry, get them back on in a hurry. Great. And they don't unravel with age and get, you know, when the glue gets soft and the tape and gets gooey and all over everything. Just push them down. So, yeah, I mean, this project wasn't too bad, really. I mean, I'm almost done now. It's just a matter of getting all the routing and everything sort of finalized and you know, where it's out of the way of the various sharp edges, serpentine belt, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, really, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I've been at it most of the day, but I haven't been working that hard, so definitely scarfed my hands up a little bit. These on there. But I think, you know, they're just heavy monster cables. Monster cables. These things are massive compared to what was here. So I'm thinking it's going to be, you know, I don't know. I don't think there'll be much noticeable improvement, maybe, but damn sure going to be moving some power through them. I know that much. You know, less resistance, better flow. You know, I don't, like I say, I don't know if there's going to be probably no noticeable difference. It started and ran good anyway, but you know, the ends of them were so crappy that every time I had to take a battery terminal off, I was dreading it. And so I'm real happy with this setup here. I could have made them myself. It would have cost me just as much in parts, and I would have had to go through another several hours worth of fooling around to do it. So yeah, so I'm happy with this. So I'm gonna carry on here, and I'll be back pretty quick. So if you plan on doing this project, it'll take you about, it took me, I started I think at 11. It's now 7 at night, so it took me a while, but I wasn't just working on this the whole time. I did some other stuff. At any rate, you can plan on it take you maybe 6 hours or so to do it, because getting the old cables off is a little bit of work. You have to crawl around like a reptile to make it happen. So the place I bought this kit is custombatterycables.com, and they're in Apache Junction, Arizona. And this kit was, the receipt is right here, was $399.17 when I bought it, which was November 15th I ordered it. And it's December 18th today. So about a month ago, I had to build a fence in my backyard that blew down in a windstorm, so I had to do that before I could, you know, play with this. But yeah, I don't know, you know, it wasn't that bad of a job, honestly. So definitely took some doing for sure, but we're all back together now, and everything's good. So I hope you found this useful. If you're going to do this project, it'll give you an idea what you're up against. Take care.